Matthew Henry's commentary on the entire Bible. Exodus 26. Moses here receives instructions, 1. Concerning the inner curtains of the tent or tabernacle, and the coupling of those curtains, verses 1 to 6. 2. Concerning the outer curtains which were of goat's hair, to strengthen the former, verses 7 to 13. 3. Concerning the case or cover which was to secure it from the weather, verse 14. 4. Concerning the boards which were to be reared up to support the curtains, with their bars and sockets, verses 15 to 30. 5. The partition between the holy place and the most holy, verses 31 to 35. 6. The veil for the door, verses 36 and 37. These particulars, thus largely recorded, seem of little use to us now, yet, having been of great use to Moses and Israel, and God having thought fit to preserve down to us the remembrance of them, we ought not to overlook them. Even the antiquity renders this account venerable. The tabernacle and its furniture, 1491 BC. 1. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. 2. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and every one of the curtains shall have one measure. 3. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. 4. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise shalt thou make in the uttermost edge of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 5. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. 6. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. The house must be a tabernacle or tent, such as soldiers now use in the camp, which was both a mean dwelling and a movable one, and yet the ark of God had not better, till Solomon built the temple 480 years after this, 1 Kings 6 verse 1. God manifested his presence among them thus in a tabernacle, 1. In compliance with their present condition in the wilderness, that they might have him with them wherever they went. Note, God suits the tokens of his favor, and the gifts of his grace, to his people's wants and necessities, according as they are, accommodating his mercy to their state, prosperous or adverse, settled or unsettled. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, Isaiah 43 verse 2. 2. That it might represent the state of God's church in this world, it is a tabernacle state, Psalm 15 verse 1. We have here no continuing city, being strangers in this world, and travelers towards a better, we shall never be fixed till we come to heaven. Church privileges are movable goods, from one place to another, the gospel is not tied to any place. The candlestick is in a tent, and may easily be taken away, Revelation 2 verse 5. If we make much of the tabernacle, and improve the privilege of it, wherever we go it will accompany us, but, if we neglect and disgrace it, wherever we stay it will forsake us. What hath my beloved to do in my house? Jeremiah 11 verse 15. 2. The curtains of the tabernacle must correspond to a divine pattern. 1. They were to be very rich, the best of the kind, fine twined linen, and colors very pleasing, blue, and purple, and scarlet. 2. They were to be embroidered with cherubim, verse 1, to intimate that the angels of God pitch their tents round about the church, Psalm 34 verse 7. As there were cherubim over the mercy seat, so there were round the tabernacle, for we find the angels compassing, not only the throne, but the elders, see Revelation 5 verse 11. 3. There were to be 2 hangings, 5 breadths in each, sewed together, and the 2 hangings coupled together with golden clasps, or tacks, so that it might be all one tabernacle, v6. Thus the churches of Christ and the saints, though they are many, are yet one, being fitly joined together in holy love, and by the unity of the Spirit, so growing into one holy temple in the Lord, Ephesians 2 verses 21 and 22, and Ephesians 4 verse 16. This tabernacle was very strait and narrow, but at the preaching of the gospel, the church is bidden to enlarge the place of her tent, and to stretch forth her curtains, Isaiah 54 verse 2. 7. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle, 11 curtains shalt thou make. 8. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. 9. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. 10. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. 11. And thou shalt make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. 12. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle. 13. And a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent, it shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side, to cover it. 14. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering above of badgers' skins. Moses is here ordered to make a double covering for the tabernacle, that it might not rain in, and that the beauty of those fine curtains might not be damaged. 1. There was to be a covering of hair camlet curtains, which were somewhat larger every way than the inner curtains, because they were to enclose them, and probably were stretched out at some little distance from them, verse 7, etc. These were coupled together with brass clasps. The stuff being less valuable, the tacks were so, but the brass tacks would answer the intention as effectually as the golden ones. The bonds of unity may be as strong between curtains of goat's hair as between those of purple and scarlet. 2. Over this there was to be another covering, and that a double one, verse 14, one of ram's skins dyed red, probably dressed with the wool on, another of badger's skins, so we translate it, but it should rather seem to have been some strong sort of leather, but very fine, for we read of the best sort of shoes being made of it, Ezekiel 16 verse 10. Now observe here, 1. That the outside of the tabernacle was coarse and rough, the beauty of it was in the inner curtains. Those in whom God dwells must labor to be better than they seem to be. Hypocrites put the best side outwards, like whited sepulchres, but the king's daughter is all glorious within, Psalm 45 verse 13, in the eye of the world black as the tents of Kedar, but in the eye of God, comely as the curtains of Solomon, Canticles 1:5. Let our adorning be that of the hidden man of the heart, which God values, 1 Peter 3 verse 4. 2. That where God places his glory he will create a defense upon it, even upon the habitations of the righteous there shall be a covert, Isaiah 6 verses 5 and 6. The protection of providence shall always be upon the beauty of holiness. God's tent will be a pavilion, Psalm 27 verse 5. 15. And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 16. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 17. 2 tenons shall there be in one board, set in order one against another, thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle. 18. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. 19. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. 20. And for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side there shall be 20 boards, 21, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. 22. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward thou shalt make 6 boards. 23. And 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle and the 2 sides. 24. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring, thus shall it be for them both, they shall be for the 2 corners. 25. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. 26. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, 27. And 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle, for the 2 sides westward. 28. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end. 29. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars, and thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. 30. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof which was showed thee in the mount. Very particular directions are here given about the boards of the tabernacle, which were to bear up the curtains, as the stakes of a tent which had need to be strong, Isaiah 54 verse 2. These boards had tenons which fell into the mortices that were made for them in silver bases. God took care to have everything strong, as well as fine, in his tabernacle. Curtains without boards would have been shaken by every wind, but it is a good thing to have the heart established with grace, which is as the boards to support the curtains of profession, which otherwise will not hold out long. The boards were coupled together with gold rings at top and bottom, verse 24, and kept firm with bars that ran through golden staples in every board, verse 26, and the boards and bars were all richly gilded, verse 29. Thus everything in the tabernacle was very splendid, agreeable to that infant state of the church, when such things were proper enough to please children, to possess the minds of the worshippers with a reverence of the divine glory, and to affect them with the greatness of that prince who said, "Here will I dwell." In allusion to this, the New Jerusalem is said to be of pure gold, Revelation 21 verse 18. But the builders of the gospel church said, "Silver and gold have we none," and yet the glory of their building far exceeded that of the tabernacle, 2 Corinthians 3 verses 10 and 11. How much better is wisdom than gold? No orders are given here about the floor of the tabernacle, probably that also was boarded, for we cannot think that within all these fine curtains they trod upon the cold or wet ground. If it was so left, it may remind us of chapter 20 verse 24, "An altar of earth shalt thou make unto me." 31 And thou shalt make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work, with cherubims shall it be made. 32 And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold, their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. 33 And thou shalt hang up the veil under the taches, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony, and the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. 34 And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. 35 And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south, and thou shalt put the table on the north side. 36 And thou shalt make an hanging for the door of the tent, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. 37 And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. 2 veils are here ordered to be made, one for a partition between the holy place and the most holy, which not only forbade any to enter, but forbade them so much as to look into the holiest of all, verses 31 and 33. Under the dispensation, divine grace was veiled, but now we behold it with open face, 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18. The apostle tells us, Hebrews 9 verses 8 and 9, what was the meaning of this veil. It intimated that the ceremonial law could not make the comers thereunto perfect, nor would the observance of it bring men to heaven. The way into the holiest of all was not made manifest while the first tabernacle was standing. Life and immortality lay concealed till they were brought to light by the gospel, which was therefore signified by the rending of this veil at the death of Christ. Matthew 27 verse 51. We have not boldness to enter into the holiest, in all acts of devotion, by the blood of Jesus, yet such as obliges us to a holy reverence, and a humble sense of our distance. 2. Another veil was for the outer door of the tabernacle, v. 36-37. Through this first veil the priests went in every day to minister in the holy place, but not the people, Hebrews 9 verse 6. This veil, which was all the defense the tabernacle had against thieves and robbers, might easily be broken through, for it could be neither locked nor barred, and the abundance of wealth in the tabernacle, one would think, might be a temptation, but by leaving it thus exposed, the priests and Levites would be so much the more obliged to keep a strict watch upon it, and 2. God would show his care of his church on earth, though it is weak and defenseless, and continually exposed. A curtain shall be, if God please to make it so, as strong a defense to his house as gates of brass and bars of iron.